Morning, everybody. As usual, Julian opens the door for me to gallop straight through when he says that he's not going to talk about the achievements of the TBA, and he's going to concentrate on the industry. I make no excuse, and those of you that know me know that I don't need any excuse to talk about what the TBA does. I hear sometimes in the industry, and that really disappointingly, what's the TBA do for us? Well, firstly, I'm here, and that I'll be shot at dawn tomorrow if I don't concentrate what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's GBB. But do pick up a copy of the annual report and see exactly how much the TBA contributes to the well-running and the well-being of the breed and the industry. GBB. Let's put it in a bit of context, because it's always nice to have a bit of colour and a bit of background. Where did it come from? How did it land firmly as a game changer for the industry? Which, and they're not my words, they're industry representatives, breeders, owners, trainers. It's changing behaviour, and I'll come back to that point. 12 years ago, we recognised at the TBA that things needed to happen, but it's a hard industry to work in and to persuade people to come along with you. It's not just our idea, we've got to carry a whole industry, and that if I tell you that the TBA sits on, I think, 35 committees within the industry, you'll understand how difficult that was. So we sat down with the BHA in Stansted House, and we talked about fillies and mares opportunities. We knew absolutely that there was a prejudice against fillies and mares. We knew that fillies and mares weren't the attractive opportunity for some breeders, and that there was a lost generation of fillies disappearing, and that we wanted to know where they were going. Every journey of 1,000 miles starts with little steps, and these were little steps. The first thing that we did was look at the National Hunt Programme, and that we encouraged the BHA to enhance and change the opportunities for mares under the National Hunt Code, under the Jumps Code. And at the same time, we talked about the opportunities for fillies on the flat. And that what we wanted to do was to encourage more participation, encourage better prize money, and encourage bigger opportunity. And that the BHA were very receptive to both of these. And that as a consequence, both programmes started, and that the National Hunt Programme that for mares now that we all think is a fantastic idea is now in place, but that started 12 years ago. That we needed to incentivise it, and we needed to prove that incentivising would work. And so that the TBA started the MOP scheme, the Mare Owners Premium Scheme. And that was the first opportunity where people were rewarded for breeding mares to race under the National Hunt Code. And then Brian's baby, the Elite Mares Scheme, came in. Flat was a bit more difficult, a bit harder to push, but we got the programme, and that I think that the end of our programme was a fillies day at Newmarket, which the EBF then took over, and that has changed into the programme that you see today. We also then started a small marketing campaign called This Filly Can. And we wanted to make people aware of the opportunities that fillies represented on the racecourse. And that we didn't spend very much money on it. We spent 15 grand a year, which at the time was a lot of money for a marketing campaign for the TBA. And that we did everything that we could within that budget. And after 2 years, Edmund Marnie came to me and said, I didn't believe it had worked, Philip. He said, but as a consequence, we are getting more interested in fillies. So we were getting traction. We'd improved the programme. We'd started getting people interested in fillies. But we had stumbling along in the background an incentive scheme called Plus 10 that wasn't working anywhere near as well as it could do. And so the TBA then went and lobbied, and that we were able to persuade all of those involved that Plus 10 would be better if we had an overriding scheme called the Great British Bonus, that Plus 10 ran out. Plus 10 included colts. We were concentrated on fillies and mares because we see that they're the gold dust, the seed corn of the industry. If we can encourage more of those onto the racecourse, more of those back into the breeding shed, then we've got a real chance of sustaining our preeminence in the world. So the doors started to creak and open, and that the TBA had a working party. And eventually, GBB was born. So it was definitely conceived, promoted and managed by the TBA. And we're really proud of it. And we manage it now, and we manage everything about GBB. It was encouraged by the BHA, and that the BHA get a bad rap sometimes, but that they were full square behind us. And that it was funded in part by the Levy Board. The Levy Board, in raw terms, the industry provides £1 million a year through registration fees, and we get £2.5 million from the Levy Board. And that's what makes it work. So as I said, it's been a game changer. It was launched on the 1st of June 2020. There never could be a time better to launch right in the middle of COVID, I think, not. But I remember Julian saying, you've got a window, launch it, take it now and do it. And he was absolutely right, because had we have delayed, there were detractors in the industry, and there were people that didn't think that it would work, and that we might have lost it altogether. And so 1st of June 2020, off we go. And since then, we've paid out £7.4 million in bonuses. 154 winners over jumps, 1.9 million. 382 on the flat, that's 5.5 million. There have been 87 multiple bonus winners on the flat and over jumps. And we paid out over £1.5 million to breeders. The best thing about it is, and that I look back now and think that somebody was smiling on us, because the first winner, and that one, well, just to recount, the Levy Board wanted to make sure that this was a scheme for all seasons and all people in the industry. It didn't just reward the super breeders, it rewarded the small breeders and the length and breadth of the country. The first winner was a filly called Blackberry. She was bred by a plumber in Hull, who put her into Doncaster sales, and she didn't reach a reserve of £3,000. And he took her home, and he wondered what to do with her. And that somebody said to him, try and win a bonus. And he didn't win one, he won 3. And it's super difficult for a filly to win 3 on the flat. They certainly can win 2, but 3 is really challenging. Over jumps, it's certainly easier, and that we've had 5-time winners, but it's encouraging all the way down the line. So I said I'd come back to this. What we've had to prove and to underline to particularly our funders, the Levy Board, is that we could influence behaviour. and that change behaviour and change perception. And boy, have we done that. In 2 short years, we made a huge difference to the value of fillies. Don't just take my word for it, but read all of the quotes in the EBN that we use, in the TOB that we use, everywhere. But my son-in-law, Jamie Railton, says, a filly that you used to take to the sales, and that she was in book 3 or 4, and you thought, if I'm lucky, I'll get 5 grand for her, is now making 15 or 20 grand. That's anecdotal. One of the things that we also did at the TBA when we were putting together the ideas for GBB, we recognised that we needed a fact base, and so that we commissioned the first 2014 economic impact study, which PwC carried out. And that was a huge step forward for the TBA, because for the first time ever that we could argue from fact and from hard data, and that was provided by an independent source, and that it wasn't a source that the TBA promoted, and that everybody said, well, you'd say that, wouldn't you, because you're the TBA. 2014 was important. We did another one in 2018, and we're now in the process, with the support of the Racing Foundation and the Levy Board again, later this year, to deliver the 3rd economic impact study. It's going to be an extremely detailed and deep dive into the finances and the funding of the breeding industry. It's also going to provide projections and analysis about where it might go. But one of the things that it's looking at, and it has looked at objectively, is GBB. Because we need to know if what we're seeing, or what we think we're seeing, is being proven out by the figures. Because the Levy Board, quite rightly, demand from us key performance indicators and a demonstration that we are doing what we said this thing could do. And without giving too much away, as far as the EIS is concerned, and that it won't be published until December, because we want to sense check it with this year's sales figures. GBB is making a difference of 16% on all filly and mare purchases. That's overall. Foals are a different ratio, but 16% is a big figure. And to do that in 2 years is astonishing. So it is influencing behaviour, it's changing perceptions. Trainers are looking for GBB fillies, owners are wanting to buy GBB fillies, and breeders now can go to the sales with a little bit more confidence that they will get a return. Yeah, it's still not good enough, and that we've got work to do. But think about what GBB's done in 2 years, and think about what it can do when it starts to really get traction in 5 years' time. This will be the gift that keeps on giving, and that what we've got to do at the TBA is make sure that it's managed well, it's marketed well, and that all of the industry knows everything about it, inside out. A little bit of housekeeping for those of you who don't know. We're rolling up towards 222 foal registration closure on September the 30th. Please do not miss the date. For anybody who is ever asked about this, I am the bad cop. I am the one that insists that the scheme has absolute rules. So if you miss the deadline, unless you have tried and failed from a software perspective on our website, then you've got very little chance of late entry. And the reason for that is that we want to be accountable, we want to be transparent at all times to the Levy Board. It's public money. And so that we can't have discretion, and that if you've got any brickbats to throw from that perspective, please do throw them at me. from a registration perspective, and it's current at the moment, we get round about 85% of the total foal crop now. And I know that Brian has always cussed me because Brian was the numbers man, and that he budgeted for 65, 70%, and that I blew his figures apart by getting 80, 85%, and in one case, 90%. Yeah. Yeah, but you're getting in the way of a good story, Brian. Everybody in the industry supports it. Everybody in the industry benefits from it. Currently, it's just worth recounting that the Queen registered 37 fillies over the course of the last 2-year registration period, and that she won 8 bonuses and 120 grand, and that we're very pleased that she supported us. So don't miss the deadlines, and don't forget that now there is optimism. If you breed, you buy, and you race GBB fillies. It's important that we support them. It's important that we gather and continue with this momentum. It makes such a difference to the industry. If we all get behind this scheme, which everybody in the industry is now, it's going to make a big difference. And that we at the TBA have ambitions and aspirations for GBB. It is absolutely clear that intervention and initiative schemes work. Look at Vobis in Australia, the New South Wales one, and the big difference that it's made in New York. We have got the first start. This is our first part down the road. We're thrilled with it. We're thrilled that the industry has accepted it as well as it has. And that, as I say, just get behind it. It's a great scheme. Thank you very much indeed.